All right, we're here. Hopefully, new links worked. We tried something different today. Um, it's welcome back a little bit of R&R with Russ, and Rob, who I'm tempted to just change his name to Russ the Third, just so we have Russ. How you doing, Rob?
I was gonna say Little Russ, but you're technically Little Russ. So
Right, which doesn't
Well,
make any
actually,
sense at
Dad is
all.
shrunk, so he's actually
Yes.
Little Russ.
Yeah.
yeah,
Somebody asked that.
he's
Asked
Old Russ.
that, how does it's old Russ? That's way easier. Somebody asked. They go, how is Russ like? What are you, 6'1" or 6'2", Russ?
I'm like barely 6 foot. I'm actually
Okay,
technically a
6
little
foot.
under.
And then Rob's, not quite 5'8", right?
Stub 5'8".
I said, what'd you say?
Stub 5'8".
Yeah. So I said, they're like, how? And I go, well, both my granddads were over 6 foot. I'm pretty sure my mom's dad was at least 6'2", and my dad's dad. But then you end up with my dad, who's barely. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's about 5'7" now with the slouch, right? And my grandmother, who was about this big, I'm pretty sure. If you get some of those genes along the way, and then your mom's dad was just normal. I think he was probably 5'9" ish, skinny as a rail. But yeah, that gene pool in there, right? Yeah, 5 inches.
It's funny.
Right?
It's funny with the multiple names at the gym. So obviously I'm Rob. We have one of the other coaches. His name's also Rob. It's Rob with two B's, but he's 48 or so. And then we had a member who I don't know if he's still there. He's older than Rob. He's probably mid to late 50s or something, but older than Rob, the other Rob. And then we have this ex-firefighter, like New Yorker, like obviously both you, audience doesn't know Corey, but basically Corey. Bill, just like so forever it's just me and Coach Rob, other Coach Rob. So I was Fit Rob because I'm leaner and faster, but he was Handsome Rob.
There you
And
go.
possibly
There
Strong
you go.
Rob because
I was
he's
going to
older
ask
than
who
me.
is
But
Handsome Rob.
he is Handsome Rob. He's got the pepper in there, very good looking man. And I understand he's better looking than me. It's okay. But then I was trying to call the other one Strong Rob, but Handsome Rob had something to say about that. And I was like, well, he's also Strong Rob. Anyway.
That's great. All right, jumping in, Russ, what is our first topic of the day?
So, well, actually, I was going to ask you guys because, real quick, I asked how Rob's doing. Dad, how are you doing?
Today,
Alive?
yeah. I mean, I whined about it before, so I guess we got to talk about it, right? My sciatic, and I went on Tuesday, and I had my PA, who's a really, really super. Her name's Joy. I actually told her I loved her because she actually did the extra, right? She just didn't go, okay, we'll give you another shot, off you go. No, she actually did some diagnosis, right? Because unfortunately, with a sciatic nerve, and I'm sure if anybody and everybody ever watches this, there can be like 5 or 6 reasons why your sciatic is not happy, right? One of which is obviously I have spinal stenosis and a squished disc. Either one of those could cause it. But you can also have weird adhesions in your. Is it the piriformal muscle across your glutes? I think it's piriformis.
Piriformis.
Yeah, and I guess it'll actually adhere.
I'll be right back.
Okay, it'll actually adhere to your sciatic, which, right? So for me, it's like somebody literally with a vice clamp grabs my sciatic and goes, it's like, well, Russ has unfortunately seen it when it happens. So she did a lot of stuff like poking and prodding. No, it doesn't hurt here. Oh, okay. So when your sciatic goes straight down your leg, most of the time, not always, most of the time it's your S1, and that's not where I got a shot on 2 weeks ago. So Thursday they gave me a shot in S1. So we'll see. You got to give it a couple weeks. We're on vacation next week. We'll see, sitting in the sand in Mexico, how it feels. Today it's a little not happy, but if I sit up like a third grader and actually have good posture, it's actually.
I wish I set up like a third grader.
And I'm telling you, you might not. Yeah, it's. My back just gets tired because I normally slouch. So the muscles that I'm using to keep me vertical are not used to that. So they're getting better. If I and the van is the best. Yeah, I can drive the van because you're sitting very upright, right? Because the seat, and then I got the super seats in there. So anyway, so I think we'll be okay. We'll see. And so the B side though, she says, if this doesn't work, we're probably going to get an MRI of your hip or your pelvis area because your sciatic goes like through like 3 different bones to try to get down to your leg, and any one of those not lining up could potentially be an issue. So there you go. There's everything you ever want to know about sciatic and didn't. So that's where I'm at.
How are you, Russ?
He's frozen. Oh, he said he'd be right back. He jumped out.
He's frozen.
Oh,
I'm coming back.
He was a statue. He wasn't moving so well. Gosh, is that a coder?
Listen,
is that
the wife needed
me.
So the wife needed me. So that is yes, ma'am.
No.
Everything.
You should just do that in the middle of your Zoom calls at work, and no one would ever know.
Actually, so a little peek behind the curtain. Andrea was doing one, and she's like, "Russ, how do I make it look like my camera's frozen so I can step away and do something?"
Oh, that's good.
Like you take a print screen, and then you make that your background. So
right.
You turn your camera off for a second, make your background step away. Yeah. You gotta love it.
Dang!
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Russ has skipped out on some meetings.
No, thankfully,
they're like, Russ, are you there? Russ, and then you show back up. You're like, sorry, my screen froze.
In my other meetings, I don't have to turn on my camera, so I can join on my.
We had a new boss right before I left. It was all into cameras. I think it was because we were pink hair, but we won't go there. So are we going to talk? I mentioned free agency. What?
Oh, that's
zoo.
Listen,
oh
that's
my
gonna
gosh!
Be, we're going to start with, because here's my thought, is we start with kind of the big stuff, right? Big, and then the
big
weird
moves,
ones.
You mean?
Big moves, random moves, and with NFC West, because NFC West had a really strange one that I don't quite understand.
You guys did. So let me just ask you a quick question, because I was reading something, and I was like, they were saying, and I don't know, because we obviously haven't talked about this, in previous years, is that they're saying this is one of the most active free agency seasons, whatever you want to call it, periods in the history of the NFL. And when I look at all the 1-year deals and the 2-year deal, it is rent a guy, man. I was like, what? I mean, almost everyone, and I don't remember which site I was at. It must have been this one. Oh, no, I think it's this one. Anyway, it is like 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, 1 year, 1 year.
Well, and even the 2 years are still like a second-year option.
Right.
I forget. There's a few that I had heard. I was like,
Trubisky, 2 years, $5 million.
Wait,
what?
Who picked
Buffalo, Trubisky.
Yeah, he was just there though.
No,
he was with. He ended up. I think he was there. Went to Pittsburgh and then went back. So because I think he realizes backing up Superman is nice because you don't have to go in, but it's the same kind of the same system.
Getting a job. That's crazy.
Well, you need a good backup. He was a high draft pick. That's the thing, that you want to be a high draft pick because then you get opportunities over and over and over again. Unless you been in the league for like 5 years and it's like, oh, this guy can kind of play, but
well, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you always need a good backup, always. And Trubisky kind of could be that for Buffalo. But the other thing is too, like you also need some familiarity. You also don't want your star guy thinking that you're trying to replace him, so on and so forth. Because like Trevor Lawrence, obviously. I don't know that anyone believes in Mac Jones, but Jacksonville brought in Mac Jones. And some people have been like, well, is it because they don't want to pay Lawrence $300 million or whatever it is? Which I find ridiculous. I'm sure they actually are going to pay him $300 million. Like, they're going to pay him. Like, he looks like he can be that guy. And it's not going to be for Mac Jones, right? You'd go probably draft another guy. But yeah, it's one of those things. You've got a guy from the same draft class, which was somewhat interesting for Purdy, right? Because they had Darnold, who was a high draft pick. He'd been a journeyman, but he's a high draft pick for a reason.
True.
Right?
But
Because you have some of the tangibles.
Sure.
Right, but yet
You got some
he was also with the Jets. Wilson's not done well with the Jets. You know what I mean?
I agree.
The rest of
It's just interesting. Out of that whole draft class, Lawrence is the only one starting now. It's just interesting when you actually look back at these draft classes.
Right.
But I don't disagree. I think, and actually, it's funny. I had said this, and we do Marcos, and I try to keep up, and sometimes I get very behind, and then they get like 12 of them, and I feel bad. But I had said, even coaching flag, it's amazing how often the receivers, I mean, they're 7, 8-year-olds, would be like, "What are you doing, quarterback?" You're like, "Your route sucked. It wasn't even a route. Why are you blaming the QB?" And then we do the same thing in football. I just did it, where we're like, "Well, that draft class sucks." You're like, "Routes point. He's playing for the Jets. Mac Jones playing for the Patriots." Like, okay.
Oh, right. So to your point, Rob, it was Trey, Lance, Trevor, and Zach.
Trevor was first.
Yeah, no, I was
Trevor,
looking at that
Trevor
year,
was, yeah.
2001, right?
When Mac was like 15th or something. But yeah, I mean, New England, other than the 1 year from Castle, which was kind of an anomaly.
True.
They had Brady, who wasn't expected to be anything worth a darn.
True.
They're not like known for developing quarterbacks. Who?
Sixth round.
He was 6. He wasn't last, but he was 6.
He's pretty close.
But I mean,
he's probably rooting for Brock.
Right. Brissett and Garoppolo were like pretty okay, but they're not like known for developing quarterbacks. Neither is the Bears. Neither are the Jets. Neither are
Browns.
So it's we see and we've talked about. Me and Russ for sure talked about it, and I think Dad was on when we had talked about it again. Most quarterbacks aren't like change your franchise quarterbacks. So when you have,
especially not at first,
meaning like you draft a guy and he's not impactful enough on the OC to be almost to where they know more than the OC and can kind of not like override them, but they know the play well enough to like whether they change the play or do things that really great quarterbacks figure out how to do. You can cover up for some of those deficiencies. But then they're all asked to start right away and just get smacked. And most of them don't have that level because Mac Jones and even to Trevor Lawrence's defense, they're from these huge schools where everyone's open.
Oh, yeah.
I think Trevor's awesome.
Right.
The wide receivers he was thrown to at Clemson, I think T. Higgins might have been one of them. There's a few. I don't know, but there's several pros. Even to Burrow's case, like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
of course.
Well, and if you look at the quantity of throws to Chase, it was probably 60, 70, 30, right? Something like that. So
and then they also had T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, so they had enough. But it's like you ask these guys to go to depleted teams with no weapons.
Yeah.
OCs that maybe could do it, but they don't have the weapons, so they're trying to. It's just ownership that isn't patient like the Pittsburgh.
Right.
Yep.
Pittsburgh is patient, so they're consistently good.
What I was going to say is the one guy that I think people said was a good quarterback developer was what's his name, McCarthy. But come on, he had Aaron Rodgers, right?
Aaron Rodgers.
But he'd been there a long time.
I
remember the conversation when he went to Dallas. It was like, this is going to be good for Dak. That's what everybody said, right? If you listen to the talking heads, they said, hey, this guy knows QBs. He's of the lineage, back in the day, Holmgren, that whole Bill Walsh, lineage was all quarterback developers. That's what they're all said, right? But didn't Holmgren have Brett Favre, I think, at the time? What you just keeping him from, throwing it 60 yards every time, I guess, right? I mean, the guy is, anyway, had all the skills, going to drill people. But anyway, back to the draft. The one thing I was going to say is,
hold on, real quick.
Do you want to go to the top guys? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, real quick.
Not the draft. The free agency.
I mean, honestly, it's going to shape the draft. It's all related.
There's some weirdness.
T. Higgins. I just lost it. T.J. Chase. I remember thinking of the wrong Chase. Joseph Nagata are the three I recognize, who are all in the NFL, I believe. I almost thought it was. It says Amari Rodgers, and was like, oh, that's a different Amari, but he had some studs. So we could probably wrap both of these together because they're both the Falcons. Kirk Cousins, 4 years, $180 million.
Wow.
And then they
that
traded.
Guy knows how to get paid, man.
Well, and if you're
you.
Atlanta, I think that was probably your best signing in free agency.
No, but didn't somebody talk about how much Cousins is like number one or number two all time?
Rob, didn't you? Like you talked about these.
Well, it's from Nick Wright. So Nick Wright had pointed out that because he wasn't the starter because it was RG3, but he ended up being the starter, obviously, because RG3 got hurt. They didn't want to pay him a big contract despite him playing pretty well, or numbers-wise at least. So they franchise tagged him twice. Now he can't be franchise tagged again because the third franchise tag is a bug trying to be in the camera. Is stupid expensive. No one does it. So now he's basically able to just dictate what he gets paid at this point. But yeah, he's going to end up like a top 5 all-time paid. But yeah, it's good for Atlanta because I think someone was saying Kirk was with that coach in Washington before, so there's some familiarity there. Even though I think he's a defensive coach from the Rams, right? Wasn't Morris?
Yes.
And someone else was saying that guy had the Bucks job with was it Jordan Freeman?
Oh,
I don't know. He's the head coach of the Bucks, and Freeman was their quarterback. So I'm sure you remember who that guy was. I do, but I don't remember his first name. And it's like he's not going to go with the Bears Fields. He's not going to go with him because he's not certain he's going to have his job in 3 years if he doesn't win.
Yeah.
So he needs to make sure he wins, and at least Kirk Cousins is going to get you 8-8, if not better.
Yeah, but then they go out. So the guy right below him is Darnell Mooney for $39 million for 3 years. And if you look, the guy literally had 31 receptions, 400 yards, and 1 TD last year. Now he's with Chicago. I get it, but man, $13 million a season for what looked like a semi-mediocre.
What does he play?
Wideout.
Wideout.
That's what I was saying. They went out and spent $40 million on a wideout.
That is a lot.
Yeah, but it's 3 years. It depends on the guarantee. It depends on how they break it up.
Caps.
Because they already have a couple wideouts and a running back and a tight end. I'm sure they just needed a wide receiver 2 or 3.
Let's see. So 3 years, 39.
But
wow, 26 guaranteed.
What year is that guy?
I think he's young. Let me look. I got him.
He's 26. He's 26, but he's Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago.
So here's the thing. And
then he probably played with Kirk, and Kirk likes him.
Here's the thing.
Deal.
This is what ESPN's saying, and I am too afraid to try to even show this on stream. 2021, which I get it. It's a few years ago. He had 81 catches for 1,000 yards. Runs 757 routes from the slot, 928 from the outside. So it sounds like this is really, and also remember, and this isn't a knock on him. I feel bad that this is the guy I'm mentioning. This is the season of overpaying. This is the season of
because the cap went up, all that.
And here's the thing: it all depends, right? Rob and I have talked about this. I think I can make this guy better. I think with Kirk and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson, he's not going to need to be DeAndre Hopkins. He doesn't need to be our number one in that way. He's technically
they have a different wideout they drafted recently too. So last year or 2 years ago,
right?
People weren't high on him, but whatever. I think the thing is too, though, is you're going kind of all in on Kirk, so you want to make sure that he's got ample room and weapons to do what he needs to do. But even with the cap going up, there's someone was saying, like right now, as to Russ's point, is when you people are overpaying. Because there's some teams that haven't really done much, and it's because they're not going to overpay for people right now because it's a new car, so you have to pay a little bit more to get a little bit better. But it's like I could pay that guy 13, or I'll get some a little later that might be 8. I think so. Someone was saying it's really interesting to overpay wideouts and running backs right now because you could get. I'm sure I could name like 15 wideouts right now that you'd be like, yeah, I'll take him. He's really good. So it almost doesn't make sense. You almost just draft a wideout every year. If third round, like you'll get a guy who runs a 4.4, who's a certain size, and if you just think he can't catch, you could teach some catching. Yeah. Right, you can teach some work habits and whatnot. You know, you don't have to pay. Unfortunately, what Atlanta did, they went and got Kyle Pitts a few years ago with the 5th overall pick as a tight end that doesn't block. But on top of that whole thing, paying someone $13 million, there's just teams, and I don't know that Atlanta is this, that just overpay for positions that or people that aren't as big of a deal.
Yeah,
right.
You know. Yep. Chiefs signed Chris Jones again to an extension. That guy's won them 3 Super Bowls.
Oh yeah,
from the defensive side.
Oh yeah.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna pay you. Right, go ahead.
So I looked. I just happened to scroll down to Niners Seahawks. Right. So this is what I see on Niners free agents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys on defense.
Yeah.
3 of which are on the line.
Then they need.
So it's an edge. Edge is that linebacker or is that
edge rusher?
Right.
No,
that's Leonard.
They play true hand in the dirt ends.
Yeah. So Floyd, 2 years, $24 million. Not bad. I mean, that's good money. You go after a safety, right? They needed help back there. They go after another edge guy, Yetter. Gross Matos for $18 million.
Well,
and then a defensive tackle in Jordan Elliott. So and now
they had to replace Armstead. So
well, we had 5 guys.
Oh, then they have Malik Collins. Oh yes, my point was, hey, look, everybody says their free agency was actually pretty good. That they did, but they re-signed Brandon Allen as a backup QB, right? Mm-hmm. And they got a tackle, Colton McKevin.
Brandon Allen, who's that?
I have no idea. I bet you he's a practice
QB?
Backup QB, isn't nobody.
Yeah. Well, because there was the one guy. Oh, it was Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen.
So now Niners.
He was an Arizona guy.
Defensive guys too. Mm-hmm. Leonard Williams, cornerback Arnie Burns.
That was weird to me.
Huh?
They didn't re-sign Bobby Wagner. That was weird to me.
They might be hoping that they can sign him off his couch again.
No, I think
he got picked up already.
He got picked up for the exact money they were offering him. So he was insulted.
I think
17, 18 million. He went and signed for 17 at Commanders.
Well,
so somebody went, I'm sure. Right?
Real quick.
Well, yeah, especially since they had already not signed him the last time.
Here's the thing to Rob's point though, is I want to see. I'm going to look real quick. No, so Bobby went to Washington for 8.5. That's it. Now, does it?
I thought the thing I just read was 17.
It could be with incentives.
Okay. Well, that's what they did for the Niners, right?
Here's the thing.
They took away his base and put it all on.
I would love to see it. Unfortunately, this article doesn't say. $6 million of it is guaranteed. Like a lot of these guys, that is actually where they're willing to leave. Like even if you give me 9, but it's $2 million guaranteed, that's not better for me. And I'm not, in some way I'm going to get more in taxes. Real quick, this is random but funny to me because it addresses the Niners. Falcons actually signed Charlie Warner for 3 years, $12 million. Very much overpaid for Charlie Warner. He is not worth $12 million. But on the Niners side,
Warner?
He's a tight end behind. Exactly, actually. Rob.
Oh, exactly. 89? Number 89?
Yeah. He's not that good.
Part of what helped us lose the Super Bowl?
Correct. So.
No, that wasn't him. Sorry, it was the backup for Kansas City. Sorry, I was thinking of the wrong guy.
Part of it for the Niners is we had 5 guys leave off the defensive line. And honestly, the offense doesn't need as much help, especially with how deep the draft is going to be in offense. You don't need to sign as much. The terrifying part for me is the Chiefs just signed Marquise Hollywood Brown And where's
That's
the
a
other
good
team?
signing.
Just
And that's
signed.
from Arizona, right? Wasn't Hollywood
Yes.
in Arizona? Yeah.
Yes. Where's the other one? They signed 2.
He's certainly better than Coleman, and I mean the guy that had all those drops is really good if he catches the ball. And I know that's
So-
easy to say, but it's hard to get open in the NFL, and that dude can get open. It just can't catch.
Right.
He's
Now, the Seahawks did draft a trade with the Commanders for a quarterback, Sam Howell, but he's a backup.
But
Yeah.
but that's oh my gosh!
What are
It's
you
just
doing?
that. Well, it's you. It's you think he's gonna be good. That's what. That's why
Well,
you do that.
he
But
let
is
the
he better
lead
than
in
your
passing.
starter?
Wait, what? Rob?
Well, Gino's not going to be around that long.
But I thought so. And maybe this is me being dumb. I get Sam Howell passed for a ton of yards. By the way, he actually might be not bad. But with the draft coming up, and this is why I think these are both related, because how you sign in free agency is going to determine how. I mean, you're still going to go for best available, but like if you have 12 linebackers, and I know I'm exaggerating, you're not going to go draft 2 more. So that does affect how you view the draft. This tells me they don't plan on picking up a QB, because if you're going to trade,
Well,
for
where
somebody-
are they drafting? Like 15th or something, right? Because here's the deal. Here's going to be the problem. If I don't think anyone worth a darn's going to get there. And what I mean is,
Maybe.
Penix is considered the fourth guy. Someone like J.J. McCarthy, for whatever reason, over him when he literally didn't have to throw the ball ever at Michigan. And Bo Nix is basically 29 now. It seems like he was in college a long time,
Forever.
a long time,
Everybody said
which means you get beat up a little bit more, whatever. Yeah, maybe a little bit more established in your
Hold on.
habits, but
Yeah.
like if for any reason Penix falls to them, they have to go get him.
Yep.
He's not like a native Washington guy, but he played there, got him to a huge game.
Yep.
Which is the first time in when was the last time they were there?
Look, they beat
So-
Oregon twice in 1 year. We barely beat Oregon once in 1 year.
And Oregon was supposed to be that team with Bo Nix.
By the way,
played
you
really well in
they
those
only
games, but
went to what did Oregon end up like? Still in the top 10. And Washington.
yeah, well, everyone knew how good Washington was, I think. But I think trading for Howell is pennies if you can get it. It will be a very Purdy like situation, right?
Right.
We gave up 3 freaking first rounders for,
Trey Lance.
and I still think Lance could be good. I do. He's just not played enough, and he's probably never going to get a shot.
Well, I think he will
But-
actually. So I think it's telling that the Cowboys did not pull the trigger on trading him. I think that is telling. 'Cause
Yeah,
a lot of
so
people
I
are
think-
interested in him.
I think Jerry's going to do. I don't know that he resigns Dak because he will now have seen Dak for a very long time.
Dak
He doesn't
is
want to
in
pay
trouble.
Dak 60. Yeah, we'll see if that's a for real thing, or if
What
it's
did you say,
just.
Russ?
Dak got in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. Oh,
Is it like confirmed that?
It's 2 different
'cause-
guys, I'm pretty
So
sure.
it really depends on who you believe, and that's okay. That's the
Sure.
whole point of this. Is he's under police investigation for alleged sexual assault. He's
Right.
also claiming
Yeah.
extortion. So we'll see.
Wow.
But that is a big deal because, listen, regardless of what you think of Jerry doesn't put up with any of that stuff. He's not interested.
Wow.
Real quick.
So
Go ahead.
Hold on,
Go
real
ahead.
quick. This is related to Rob's point. Chicago's number 1. It seems like they're taking Caleb Williams, which they should. Washington is next, and they just traded their QB. Very obvious they're taking a QB. New England
Yep.
should.
they'll probably
I-
take May, I imagine.
You would hope so. Maybe they're stupid and take J.J. McCarthy. I feel bad saying that. I just don't think.
Well, no, it would be Jay Daniels is supposed to be the other one.
No,
But
I just mean
saw that
if they're
issue.
picking their
Right.
like next Brady. Arizona,
Yeah.
they're not picking a quarterback. I have no idea why they traded for Desmond Ridder. That was a weird trade. Chargers have Herbert.
Yeah.
Giants are on the hook for Jones. Maybe you'd still draft a QB, but you have like $40 million tied up in a guy who's not playing. Tennessee needs
Again.
one. Atlanta has their QB. Chicago again. Jets think they have their QB. Minnesota might draft a QB. Denver might. LA just went for Minshew. So there, to your point, Rob, there are a lot of people in the way of someone dropping to you if you're Seattle. A lot of teams.
It wasn't LA.
Yeah.
But I know.
So,
Minshew's a starter somewhere.
Are you thinking that Sam Darnold is?
Oh, we're at Las Vegas.
Minnesota?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said LA. I was like,
I still don't like that they're in Las Vegas. My brain is not associated.
at least say Oakland then. Help me out with Oakland. I'll answer to Oakland. I don't, or even St. Louis. I'll answer to the Rams or St. Louis.
So are you saying that Sam Darnold, signing Sam Darnold wasn't their Minnesota starting?
Minnesota?
Well, they said giving him 1 year. No, I don't think it was.
I know. And then, hey, look, the one that I'm not, it's interesting is what's his name going to, where did I just, I did like Baltimore.
Whoa, I didn't know Mason Rudolph. Sorry, I didn't know Mason Rudolph got traded or signed with Tennessee. That's interesting. I didn't see that. That's
strange.
Crazy.
She just goes to another spot where he has to compete. Because I think Tennessee really likes Levis, but I think Mason doesn't want to be behind Kenny, Small Hands, Pickett, and Russ, who could very well be washed. But the Derrick Henry signing is very interesting because here's my problem. Well, maybe. I think the problem is though is they got rid of Patrick, or they didn't sign Queen.
That was nuts.
So it's the same money. You're now paying for a running back when I think they've shown they don't need any particular running back.
Right.
And to say that they needed Derrick Henry to run against the Chiefs when they only ran the ball like 9 times. Now, do I think it will work? Where, okay, how many people do we have to put in the box to stop Henry? And then how free is Lamar going to be? I think that's a very dangerous combo. Because they still have whoever their guy got hurt last year. They still have him and whatever backups they have. But I think them losing their defensive coordinator is huge.
Yeah.
And then them losing one of their starting linebackers. So as much as I want to be like, dang, that's amazing, it's like, are they going to be able to stop people? Yeah. Even I know they have other pieces, but linebackers are. I know we talked about this last week. I actually think linebackers are far more valuable now than ever because they have to be so versatile.
Yeah.
They have to stop. They've always had to stop the run and guard the pass. But the way offenses work of being prolific at passing and deceptively good running and all that stuff, you have to be so smart, so strong, so fast. I mean, and Patrick Queen is a beast.
He's amazing.
I mean, he is not a huge guy in the sense of a Ray Lewis that doesn't really fit nowadays. But man, he can run. He's strong as hell. Like, I don't know how you let that guy and to the Steelers.
Well,
how do you let go to the Steelers?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I don't.
And here's the other.
I'm sure Ron loves it.
Henry. Yeah, absolutely. You watched Henry though. I still think you watched him, and I did not see the 3-year Derrick Henry, where he just didn't care about getting hit. He didn't care about who he was hitting. He was dishing it out. The number of games I saw with him in it, he wasn't really dominating. Now that could be Tennessee's line. Right, you never know, right? But there were some times when I went, man, I remember him using a thigh to just run through that guy.
Hold on.
What is he?
So he's 30. So they talk about this on First Things First. Tennessee was rated the worst line in the NFL, and he still had 1,200 yards.
Yeah. Okay.
So to be fair, that's at minimum 15. Man. How many?
Wow, Mark.
Look up how many yards he had after contact. Look up how many yards he had after contact. He led the league, I'm pretty sure.
He was no.
And I want to say
that's the weird part. He was actually ironically behind CMC.
Oh, right. He was second. But I think he had I swear half of his yards were after contact, or 1,000 of his yards.
So
it was
Did you guys see that?
Hold on. You jumping around.
Hold on. You can't. Hey, you're not.
Well, I'm just looking at QBs going everywhere. Holy smoke, they're going all over the place.
Oh, dude, Rob, he's not. He's not. Wait, why are you including? Okay. Oh. No, he's not. That's crazy. He's way down there. Derrick Henry. What? He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now, it's still 4.2. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize.
That was yards
I
per
looked
carry.
up most yards after contact, and it gave me
Yards per carry.
not remotely what I was looking for. Thank you, website. You are 100% useless. You ever notice that sometimes you Google something and it doesn't give you at all what you said, and then you're like, what?
Well, unfortunately, Wikipedia gives me in 2020, but he had 1,000 yards after contact in 2020.
Wow. Jeez.
1,000 yards. I think that might have been the year he had 2,000. So, I mean, there's something to that.
Rob. Here. Whoa. Oh, this is before contact. According to this, in 2023, it's 7.3 yards per attempt before contact. Whoa. And yes, Rob, he was 3 yards behind McCaffrey. He was second. He had 570 yards after contact.
So half his yards are after contact?
Dude.
After contact.
Dude. Now, you know the weird part, though? McCaffrey's the same. It's actually kind of weird. They had a ton of yards, but the weird part is the number per attempt was only 2 after contact. That's just a weird kind of... Like, there's context there. That doesn't really mean much. It's just an interesting, weird, like, slide. Just interesting. That's all.
All right,
Dad. Now we can talk about Baker. We can talk about
Well,
Baker.
it was just below the Seahawks, and I was like, wow, 3 years, 115
I mean,
million.
I think he earned it. What do we think?
Oh, no, absolutely. But hey, Tampa Bay, they've got some...
I think he got the wrong deal in Cleveland.
Oh,
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
I'm not saying that.
How
I'm
much?
just curious.
It was 3 years, 100 million, right?
Yeah.
115?
Yeah, that's... I mean, the top, or... I think the top 10 people are like 40 plus.
Well,
So you're given, and the first 2 years, I think are less than. I think that stays consistent, where it gets more expensive each year. I'm not totally sure, but
well,
he got the right end of the deal in Cleveland. They're paying out the nose for Deshaun to not do anything, and they had to go get Flacco. After Baker,
they also got a
I just
1,000-yard receiver too to go with it, Mike Evans. So.
Which
I would
sign. That was really smart.
Yeah, it's hard because he is getting old. It's one of those the Patriots would have gotten rid of him, but
52 million too.
He's one of those guys I would love to play with if I were a wide receiver, Baker, because he's never blaming you. He'll tell you when it's your fault, but not on you. You know what I mean?
Not
it's just like, I mean, every locker room he goes to loves him. I'm not a quarterback wins guy. I think there's too much going on. As much as a QB can impact it, I think if you're not just completely elite, what did someone say? It's like you're a chameleon to your team. If they suck, you suck.
Yeah.
If your team's good, you're really good. If they're average, you're about average. You fluctuate based on what's going on. But man, he is a winner. Throughout Carolina, they suck. They're horrible at everything.
Oh, yeah.
They're just obviously not good. I don't care that Darnold won some games. Everyone gets like, again, I'll mention Tim Rattay as many times on this podcast as I can. Went 5-0, and I think they went 0-11 the rest of the year. It's like, you get lucky sometimes, but the dude just wins games.
Yeah.
His team loves him. He throws a really nice ball. It's...
When I get,
Baker's-
let's be honest.
Baker's
Yeah,
man.
he threw a pick to end the year, but if their defense was like remotely better, they win the game. Like it became a shootout.
And their running game.
Oh,
Their running game is atrocious. Now, someone had mentioned their running game is so bad because they had Tom Brady line, so we're going to pass 50 times.
The
So
offensive
it's all
is
pass
a massive
blocking.
problem.
Right? I guess they're one of their maulers retired, one of their guards or something. So it's like, if you don't replace those guys and you're set up as a passing team, and Baker flourished as a pass-heavy team, but I mean, I think he would, as anyone does, Purdy, Lamar, whatever. If your running game's good, you're going to be able to throw it because no one's going to – every crossing route's going to be open because those linebackers are going to be fooled all the time into thinking, you're running.
Yeah, now I would love to see their schedule, and I'm not going to go into this too much. I was just curious. I wanted to see kind of
what schedule? I'll look it up.
Tampa Bay. Because I was curious what they're – just like overall as a team, how they do. This actually is not bad. They averaged 21 points a game. Their defense only allowed 19. It was 5th in the league. Again, I would love to know, Rob. Is
they're also playing the South, though,
That's true. That's
nobody
a really
wanted
good
to
point.
win, basically.
That's
8-9.
What did they blank the Panthers last hold on, let's see.
Now, real quick, Rob, this is interesting to me. On offense, they average about 320 yards, but on defense, they allowed 340. They only got about 5 yards of play, while their defense allowed 5 yards of play. Which isn't bad on third down, about 40%. Defense allowed about 40%, which is actually not that great. Shockingly good on fourth down. They were second in the league, but their defense also was 7th in allowing them to get there. Red zone scoring, they were 27th in the league at 48%, while their defense was 3rd, which is really good.
They're strange if you look at their schedule. It's very strange. They held the Vikings low. Bears not that surprising.
Wait, was that
the
after
Eagles.
or before Cousins got hurt?
It was week 1.
Oh, okay. So
2 was the Bears. Philly was hot. Destroyed them at the time. Beat the Saints silly. I don't know. Very up and down. But relatively consistent. They played the Titans, who of course they only scored 6 points. I don't know. It's one of those where they played Jacksonville. I think that was when what's his name was hurt, week 16. Mm-hmm. And then the Panthers, they beat 9-0. So next year, they play the NFC.
Baseball.
The NFC East. They play the NFC East. And the AFC East. AFC West. So their home games are the Eagles, the Commanders, Broncos, Raiders, Falcons, obviously Saints, Panthers, but then play the Niners and Ravens. So that's rough right there.
Well, and what's interesting?
They play like all the top teams from the NFC. So San Francisco, the Lions, Dallas, Philly. Were all like the top teams from last year. Then they play Kansas City and Baltimore as 2 other ones. So, I mean, if you're really saying wins and losses, assuming Philly figures it out this year, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses, kind of off the go. But there's definitely some winnable games after that. So,
real quick,
who knows how they
think
do?
Of trying to type quickly. The 2 big ones to me, Philly got Saquon Barkley. I think that's a really, and again, within the division. That's interesting. Well, only because, here's the only reason. I know they also don't have Swift. I think Saquon is much, and I'm not saying Swift is bad. I actually think Swift is really good. And the running game was not the problem. I understand that, and Kelsey retired. That's a big deal. Only reason I think that is a good signing for them is he is a pretty good workhorse back. I do think that'll help. Josh Jacobs to the Green Bay Packers, I think, is a good signing.
I think that's an even better signing because he's been shown not to get injured.
True.
Saquon, the thing is, you're paying him more than anyone else, and you don't know if he's going to stay healthy. He's had a not great line, but still, just because you have a bad line doesn't mean you're going to get hurt.
True. Now, I do like on defense. I will say this. They signed Devin White, signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Man, they needed that. That was a huge deal. And I'm honestly not that. I think the Saquon one is fine. I don't actually think it's terrible.
It's a lot of money, though. It's just a lot of money, I think, for running back.
No, I agree.
Swift was $8 million. You save $5 million, go get another cornerback. You get lit up on the back end.
I agree with you, and to be honest with you, I don't think this is gonna say. I don't think the running game was the problem. So I actually do agree with you. But I do like the pickups on defense. I think that was really where they needed it. I mean, Acho had a great video on the fact Eagles, their linebackers were terrible. They weren't good. Yeah. They didn't have good odds.
Getting Devin White's a big deal. That dude's freakish. I don't know how good he is at stopping the run because he's more of a hybrid backer, but he can cover. That's for sure. I didn't realize they got Johnson because their back end was so bad, and they signed another D line. I heard, and I don't know. I don't know if they lost any, but man, I don't know if you needed to sign another one. Maybe if you could just cover guys a little longer, you could then go sack them. So
let me look.
I don't know. I just struggle paying $13 million to a guy who's known to be hurt.
Sure.
As good as he is.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal: if they do get to the playoffs, which I would just assume they do, and the Niners play them, right? This is my assumption. That's really hard to guard. They have A.J. Brown. Obviously, Jalen is a threat. He'll be hopefully for them he'll be healthy this year, or at least at the end of the year. They have Devontae Smith on the other side. I don't know if they still have the tight end, but if they do, that's a big deal because their tight end's a stud too. So it literally will look like the Niners East. Obviously, Jalen's a little bit more athletic than Purdy. Purdy might be a little burstier, but not quite as strong or whatever.
But they still got
an offense
that actually uses people. That's their problem.
Yeah, but they got a good offensive coordinator. They got we assume is the guy who was with Dallas and then went to the Chargers. Used to be Kellen Moore. You assume he can figure it out. He's probably going to be better than whatever they had last year.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just and so I won't blast them for doing the same thing that the Ravens did. Maximize your strength. Right, if your thing's running the ball and you get an extra lineman and you get an extra better running back, and so they're never going to be able to stop you running the ball. Okay, I don't know that that's a bad thing.
Hey,
they definitely need to replace Kelsey though.
Yeah, now that you're on the NFC East, is who is their starting QB?
Who?
The Giants. Sorry, the Giants.
It's Daniel Jones right now.
Yeah, that's.
Well, they got. By the way, they signed Drew Lock. So I'm assuming backup.
Yeah, he's a backup. He's
back from Denver and then moved him over, right?
Yeah. Well, and was it you that said that Drew Lock talked about his time with Geno and just how thankful he Geno was just a stand-up guy? I actually hope Seattle drafts a QB. Because I think Geno's the guy to. Right. He's the Josh McCown. He's the Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, Geno probably, I assume, believes in himself, but he's been there where he's a high draft pick to a whole organization.
Yeah, By the way, he may not be the problem in Seattle, right? There may be more.
He may not repeat. He may not repeat 2 years ago.
2 years in a row. 8 and 9. 2 years in a row.
They were 8-9 2 years ago because he played so well 2 years ago.
But they still.
Well, I guess at the end of the year he didn't play that well.
And listen, here's the thing: the division's tough. I mean, you're playing the Niners, you're playing the Rams. And
by the way, when you play Arizona, they got beat at home. The year Arizona had like 4 wins. One of them was against the Seahawks at home. When you're against your division, it's throw the book out because.
And the Rams were rebuilding this year, and they were a play away from playing the Niners in the championship game.
Yes.
Yep.
Like they were pretty cool. Now we'll see how
free agency, by the way.
Well, I don't know that they have much cap room because they had borrowed from Peter to pay Paul for their Super Bowl win.
Aaron Donald.
Tongue twister. So
no, he's retired.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, did he retire this year?
Wow.
Dude.
Well.
Yay!
I mean, yeah, but whoa.
We might go ball up the middle.
Oh, my Lord.
Can you imagine Purdy, Geno, and Kyler all like doing a combined Instagram of like, Aaron, we're thankful for your career. We sent you some wine and some slippers and a robe that says like a Hall of Fame jacket robe. They're just like, hey man, just whatever you need, let us know. We'll just, we sent you a car. Pizza's on us. Just get him fat out of shape so he never comes back.
Well, you might want to look and see who he's. You would think that guy like that has some kind of stuff that he's sponsored, right? And I'm not talking. You look at while they're still playing, like what's the stupid insurance for?
No. I think he did on purpose.
Yeah, I think he has.
I was just fixing this, and
you scared the crap out of me. I was like, "This has been working perfect."
No. Who's the insurance that?
Fletcher Cox retired too. Sorry.
Wow. So anyway, but what is his getting paid for? And then you say, hey, by the way, we're going to give you free pizzas for a year. Well, I'm already.
Oh, dude, I'd be giving him more of a Christmas gift than my lineman, so he doesn't hit me so hard.
Oh, who was it that bought golf?
You know what I mean?
All of them? And golf clubs.
That was Mahomes.
Yeah.
I don't know if he did. He didn't do. I don't think he did golf clubs. It was just golf carts, but it all had their number on it. Whatever, and then you imagine not going back there that next year. You just at a different place with your golf cart.
But yeah, they were offensive guard, wideout was Rams. So pretty.
What they got?
Yeah,
who?
There was a couple other.
Who was the wideout?
Who was the wideout? Are we talking Rams?
DeMarcus Russell. Or Robinson, Demarcus Robinson, 1 year, $5 million.
I don't know him.
And tight end Colby Parkinson.
I don't know.
Fairly quiet. But
Parkinson, I think, played for Minnesota.
They paid him $22 million for 3 years.
Yeah, I think that's.
They paid $48 million for Kevin Dotson on the line. They paid $99 million for 2 OGs.
Whoa!
Yeah, well, I think Stafford's probably slipping a few hundred to the Rams, so he doesn't end up on took us.
Listen, the Niners would have a Super Bowl win if they had a decent line. Because 9 unblocked guys. Now, I think part of that's still scheme, but
I just pray.
How do you have so many weapons and no good?
Look, Seahawks have been doing it for long before the Niners did it. Oh, look, they had the worst left tackles. I mean, one guy didn't even play.
They really did. So the way the right tackle was for the Chiefs this year, offsides or false start and hold guys, that's the way your guys, Okung or whatever his name was it Okung? Dude, he was, look,
an offensive lineman and they put him
I'm sure he could block me, right? I'm sure. But I'm not an NFL.
Russell had a Hall of Fame career before he left with that trash offensive line.
Well, so hold on, that might have actually made his career better because his on-time stuff is not good.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Peyton, Russell Wilson. I think they're talking about it that Wilson's like second all-time in like passes behind the line on a scrimmage or like within 5 yards or something crazy like that. It's something to where it's like I know he throws his moon balls, but
a lot of on the moon ball thing.
Right, that's great. That's awesome. That's not there.
I did not know that. That's when we were talking about Eisen and his next. What does he call it? Next gen stats or something? When he was talking about.
I love next gen stats.
Lord, he was like, why do people hate him? Look at his numbers. Anyway, same thing.
The thing with Wilson though, man, is he was with Peyton, who I assume was pretty good because Breeze loved him, and Breeze is an on-time dude. And so, make it full circle, come back to Wilson. And he's not as fast as he used to be. I hope Wilson doesn't do horribly, but man, it's. I know he had good stats, but they weren't good.
But his numbers for last year, even though they pulled him, he won like 5 in a row at the end. They got him into the playoffs or had them. And then they decided. But to your point, that's why Peyton probably didn't like him. He was not Drew Brees. He is not Drew Brees. He is not an on-time guy. He's not step back for you, put it somewhere. You know what I mean?
See, here's the thing, and this is, again, I will never, ever claim to be an expert because I am not. When I was, a lot of people were saying watching film, like guys, Russell is not the problem here. And I get it, by the way. Like, right?
Oh, in Denver?
Yes. Because it was the same with Philly. They're like, this offense is terrible. Like what you're asking, and this is I'm noticing a lot in the NFL. To Rob's point, is they treat everybody like, oh no, you're just going to fix all our problems. Like, well, no, you need to also do your part because he needs people to throw to. He needs the right plays. You need to be attacking the defense correctly. Why not? Why I don't understand why every team doesn't like focus on play action where you're going to give your quarterback easy.
When you got good hands, guys like Brock has great hands, right? Anyway, but to your point though, Russ, the funny part is, so we talked about this. There are coaches who go, I'm going to run my offense. I really don't care, Rob, that you can run. I don't care. You're never going to run. You're going to drop back 5 to 7, or we're going to do play action, or we're going to do and this is what you need to do. And I'm going to plug my people in, right? Then there's other people who have been quite successful who said, wait a minute, man, I've got this guy that actually can get outside the pocket and make crazy things happen. Mm-hmm. Right, like Mahomes.
Well, can I give a
so example? How do I do that? Right, huh? What's that?
I get it. By the way, I want to compliment the Chiefs, but not overdo it, because I do think there's a lot of factors involved. You know, the play where Mahomes ran, it wasn't called by even the offensive coordinator. Like the team called it themselves.
But they had put in 2 runs. They talked about it.
No, I know.
Ran in 2 years, and they had 2 runs in the playbook.
It was either 4 or 5 years he hadn't run.
Right, that's my point. That's what I love about Andy Reid is very much like when they beat Buffalo. That was Kelsey literally just essentially running the offense. Like, and I get it. By the way, I also want to defend Shanahan a little bit as a Niners fan. Like we know what he's did with Garoppolo was impressive. Obviously, we can tell. It's very obvious that what he was able to get him to. So we'll see with Purdy over the next few years as that trust builds. But it is something Andy Reid is very good at, is trusting his guys. The fact Spagnuolo changed his entire defense and they didn't really miss a beat in the Super Bowl is amazing.
Yeah, he still got horses, that helps.
No, agreed. You need both. That's also the part, especially as fans, like your scheme could be amazing, but if you don't have, not even just have the guys to run it, just have flat out good players, that's going to make it tough.
Who's the wideout that they let go to Miami?
Tyreek.
So good. Huh?
Tyreek.
Yeah, right? And everybody went, oh my God, they just let their best weapon go. And then when you look, it was Rice and Kelsey. That was it. If you look at the top 2, it's like nobody. It's like way down the list. And then a whole bunch of people like bunched at the bottom. So, that's why I still struggle with defending the Chiefs. And you literally can't, you cover them for 3 quarters and then you don't. I don't want to go back to Super Bowl, but literally, it was Rice and Kelsey. That was it. That's the only people that caught passes all year, for in any bunches, right? And anyway,
I would like to point this out with the Russell Wilson thing because I think we could talk Chiefs a lot because they're really good and they're fun to talk about.
Hold on, I gotta look.
Just so. Imagine Sean Payton waited till this offseason, right, to when they hired coaches. And he decided to go to the Chargers instead. Oh, when we lost that.
No! It was doing so good.
Mind your ears, guys.
Sucks.
So, I'll just pose it to you and then I'll circle back when Dad gets back here. Is Sean Payton with Herbert, Jim Harbaugh with Russell Wilson. That would actually be a huge difference because Harbaugh goes and gets a coordinator that makes sense with the person he has.
Right.
Compared to Sean Payton being the offensive coordinator like Russell.
Yeah.
And the other thing, kind of to your point, Russ, of like stats don't mean everything and sometimes just look at the stats. With Russell Wilson, I don't know, man. It reminds me a bit of Rodgers when Rodgers didn't throw any picks, but then you realize he's not throwing picks because he's not putting the ball at risk when he maybe should.
Well, or
he's either not trusting his receiver, or he's not throwing to a certain guy, or he doesn't even look.
He's not open.
Because Wilson played horrible the year before. Understandably, Matt Nagy's terrible. I think as we all know. But we don't think Sean Payton is terrible. But Pete Carroll was fine with Wilson walking away. Kind of still in his prime. So I think there's deficiencies that they covered up because they ran it a certain way for him.
Yeah.
And so my theory on Russell is he probably took sacks when he shouldn't, when he should have gotten rid of the ball, he was either trying to save his completion percentage or not throw a pick or do whatever. So I think his stats ended up looking good. He barely threw for 200 yards. And he somehow had 26 touchdowns. He had 200 yards a game. So, like, I wonder, like, what? There's something. I have not looked tape or watched tape, but I think there's something there to where. Also, I know Dad loves Russell Wilson in Seattle. So, Dad, just to get you up to speed, I was referencing if Sean Payton waited till this year, went to the Chargers instead, and then Harbaugh was with Wilson this year. But then I went on Wilson. So the other thing is the whole league had an opportunity at Wilson for basically $1 million. Now it's up to him to choose where he wants to go.
Sure.
He didn't get that many opportunities that we see.
Nope.
So it makes me wonder if the other teams watch some of the tape and they're like, oh, your numbers are great, but you're taking sacks in the wrong times. You have horrible habits. You just can make things happen once in a while. Because realistically, to win with a good quarterback, 26 touchdowns isn't really that impressive. You kind of want 2-ish touchdowns a game. And he did throw a lot of picks, and so Dad was referencing Aaron Rodgers has like not thrown picks or not thrown many picks in a lot of his years because he doesn't either trust his teammates or won't put the ball in harm's way for his own statistics. Because we've seen whether or not any of us care about the vaccination or anything else that he talks about, he's very egotistical.
Oh, yeah.
Cares a lot about himself, wants to be in the media. Wants to be seen in a certain light. So
he's
McAfee and whatnot.
Some people are saying he's Robert Kennedy Jr.'s running mate, and it's like
no, Robert. I think Robert Kennedy said that.
Exactly.
So the fact that he did. So that's the other thing.
You know,
that first thing first talked about is if he cared about his team, he would have Kennedy not mention him. Or very quickly say, yeah, he was considered as a candidate, but isn't a candidate anymore.
You know his other option is that he
Rodgers loves the media, despite hating the media, and he wants the attention.
You know who the other person Kennedy's looking at? Jesse Ventura.
Dude,
former governor of Minnesota. Anyway,
honestly,
but I agree with you, Rod. So if you're a teammate, does that turn you off? I mean,
yes.
Look,
Sauce Gardner said something. Their best quarterback.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to both of you potentially. I don't remember which Marco I was on, but we all have opportunities to kind of reinvent ourselves as we move through careers, right? Whatever our career is, right? And Russell has an opportunity. Like he's been kicked. He made a boatload of money. So how much does it hurt when you get kicked out? When you're still getting paid, you're going to get $8
It's the pride, though. It's the pride.
No.
To get paid $85 million not to play for a team,
right.
You're horrible.
30 other teams probably weren't interested. Let's say 29. And by the way, half of those could use a talent as Russell Wilson 5 years ago, right? If you were looking at Russell Wilson in the middle of his career, you'd have taken him for $40 million. Are you kidding me? Right? And a free ride. So look, I hope he does well. Do I hope he changes some of his shtick that ain't going to go well in Pittsburgh? Right? Although there's been quite a few people that stood up and said they think he's going to be great there. One of them is former coach of Pittsburgh. The guy with job. Cowher. So look, and then there's other train wreck. That's a stupid move. He won't even start. Blah blah blah. So do I wish my brother in Christ all the success in the world and somebody who loved him in Seattle? Yes, I do. Absolutely. I don't wish him to fail. I love Pittsburgh because my son-in-law is a huge Pittsburgh fan.
Well, Pittsburgh's fun to root for.
For an AFC team, right? Anyway, my point being. But I do believe he probably needs to keep his mouth shut And here's another thing, right? And Rob, you know this from being in the locker room. There's guys that are just jocks. That's all. They're not. They live for the the camaraderie, the blah blah blah, right? I don't know if Russell's that guy. I don't know if he's just a jock, because usually jocks just get accepted. They're the they're the guys that run around in underwear. They're the guys that snap people with towels. They're the guys that throw people in showers fully clothed.
Yeah. Well, he's not the Manning either. The Manning side where it's just like he's the sheriff. Like he's in charge. Not that you couldn't like some of the other guys, Dwight Freeney, whatever, couldn't snap Peyton or whatever. But not that it wasn't human. But if he said something, you did it. Russell's not that either.
No,
he's just he's maybe even more of a just an Eli Manning.
Yeah,
where you're just like that guy. He's won 2 Super Bowls, but I don't know how.
Well,
and he's good, but I don't.
Certainly more raw, but not better leader to your point than Eli. I don't think. It doesn't seem like when he's got enough detractors and supporters, and maybe more detractors and supporters. Now look, Marshawn Lynch. I'm not writing Marshawn Lynch's memoirs, so I'm pretty sure there's lots of people he didn't like in the NFL, and they don't eat at the same table. If Russ had been a rookie, he would be with Marshawn. I don't think. They're just different.
Well, but again, I had mentioned Tebow before on our Marcos.
Right.
Tebow, though he is the exact opposite of Marshawn.
Yeah.
In Marshawn's word, he would have with Tebow. Right. He would have been with him. Right, because I don't know if that's appropriate.
But Tebow inspired loyalty even outside of his
because
the problem is Russ just doesn't.
Or another guy,
because Tebow was going to run through a wall.
Let's go to a high performing quarterback who's a believer. Kurt Warner. Pretty sure Marshawn and Kirk could break bread.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a Russell thing. Is the problem?
It is.
It's a Russell.
But I don't
Purdy and Marshawn would have been fine. There's plenty more. Kirk Cousins and Marshawn would have been fine. But it's a guy who is living the Versace life.
Yeah.
When
by the way, and actually kind of puts it out there.
Yeah.
Versace life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let us cook. It's like no, let us cook. Lost you a Super Bowl. Should have ran the ball 4 times with Marshawn. No one's stopping Marshawn 4 times.
Yeah,
actually,
but if you're that guy,
look, I'm not a Carroll fan.
He's not the offensive coordinator. He's a defensive coordinator, isn't he?
He said he called that play.
Oh, okay. Well,
real quick.
Also, Peyton. So I will leave after the rest.
And actually, that's perfect timing because what I would love to do is next week is talk. He's trying to get out too.
Yeah, he bites right there. There's a white spot. You can see it.
I want to talk about Jets next week because the mess of the offseason. I'm really curious what they're going to do. We didn't really talk about it.
I might have trouble next week. It might be just you and Rob. I'm going to be in Mexico.
We'll figure it out.
I'm going to be in Mexico.
I'm not too worried. The weird part to me is the trade with Arizona. I don't understand trading for Desmond Ridder, but we'll talk about that next week. We have lots of time to talk NFC West.
All right.
Shoot, I had no. Actually, I think we covered pretty much everything. Obviously,
we hit a good bit.
Well, yeah, I think what's going to be interesting is kind of talking. Is really talking kind of what people are going to be doing in the draft because now the dust is kind of settling in free agency. I don't expect it to be quite so wild going forward. It's just not going to be. Let's be honest. There's plenty that has happened. This is random, and this is what I'll end on, and then if Dad has a quote, we'll do that. And I get it. It's only really 2 Super Bowls, but Eli Manning is 8-4 in the playoffs. Russell Wilson is 9-7. Just an interesting, Rob and I talked how misleading that can be because really that's just 2 Super Bowl runs.
That's his 2 4-0 runs because they were wild card teams both times. So otherwise he's 0-4.
Yeah. So, Dad, you got a quote for us to end?
Yeah, it's funny. One of them is Nick Saban, and I we didn't even touch on his, his challenges with leaving Alabama. I think that was earth moving. I think there's going to be a lot ripples from what he said, what he did. He's now in front of Congress, as I thought so. But his quote is pretty apropos on how he feels. You can't win together if you don't work together.
Yeah.
And those dudes, remember what he said, the two questions, right? And I'll leave it at that. But you can hate on Alabama all you want. Nick Saban is quite the coach. And so when him or Krzyzewski or one of those guys say something, I think someone needs to stop for a second and go, maybe there's a problem here, right? But anyway, you can't win together if you don't work together. So
yeah, and
I like working with you guys. I think we got to win today.
And actually, I'm glad you brought up Saban. We need to talk college football. He's in a lot of people, and it's all opinion, are mad at him about his NIL. I don't know what that stands for. Comments about players getting
name, image, likeness.
Yeah. So I think it's worth talking about. We'll talk about it.
He probably was able to say it because he retired.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of guys that can't say it because they're still trying to fight that.
Yep.
And maybe I think somebody else has said maybe the new generation can handle it. But we talked about the GM versus the quarterback or the head coach and the recruit. It's a mess. So it'll be interesting. Anyway, I completely agree, Russ. I think that needs to be a topic. So,
I think we're going to have a full college football and maybe in a couple of weeks. Because, listen, all the conferences are up in the air. It's a Pac-2 right now. So we'll see.
Easy conference to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I genuinely don't know enough about college football to know kind of how it's all going to shake out. So,
it just started absolutely pouring here.
It must have moved from me to you because it
was.
Was.
What's funny is our new van has a wrap on it that they said don't wash for 2 weeks. We just got it yesterday. I emailed them and say, "Is the rain going to be a problem?" Because I don't have a big barn to put it in.
So
it's
probably
soap.
Yeah,
I'm hoping. Yeah.
Anyway, we're
all
right.
I gotta go.
All right, go hug your my grandson.
Love you guys. Everybody have a good one. Have a good weekend.
All right.
We'll talk to you
too.
maybe next week. We'll see.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.